Hello, 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 my loves. As always, I hope that this live or this replay finds you well and in excellent spirits. Happy Monday, and welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast live here in the Astro Room on YouTube. I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So, if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So, this channel is everything astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So, if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my loves. So, this is the weekly astro forecast for the week of January 13th through 19th, 2025. All right, how are we feeling? So, currently, we are in the midst of the Cancer full moon. It's the first full moon of this calendar year. It's a little emotional, right? Because Cancer tends to be an emotional sign. I wouldn't say that I've been overly emotional today, but I do feel like there's been this heaviness. I've definitely been sleepy, kind of lethargic today. So maybe you're feeling the same. But I did a whole dedicated video on the full moon in Cancer. It's linked in the description box below. So if you haven't checked it out already, definitely do so you know exactly what's going on. All right. And apart from that, it's kind of just a regular week, although at the end of the week, the sun will move into the sign of Aquarius and Aquarius season will begin. All right. And so we are actually making our way to the end of the natural new year, right? Because once we get into Aquarius season, after that, we have Pisces season, and then we're done for the zodiacal year. All right. And so, like I said, other than that, not too much kind of going on astrologically this week. Kind of the regular kind of stuff, but this energy of the full moon very potent because the moon is in its home sign. Cancer is the home sign of the moon. So you'll probably be feeling this sort of heaviness or this um could be heavy emotions, could be intense emotions, could be some surprises. That energy is going to last for the first part of the week. All right. So that's definitely something to look forward to, I guess. All right. But before I get into all of the details about the astrology for the week, housekeeping and announcements. So if you are joining me live here tonight, thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate you. Say hello on your way in and hit that like button as well. It lets the algorithm know that you like this content. And so it will push it out to other people who may like it as well. It's definitely one of the best ways to support and help out the channel. All right. And if you're watching this on the replay, I appreciate you just as much. Hopefully, you find what you're looking for with this broadcast, whether it's clarification, confirmation, illumination, enlightenment, or information. Hopefully, you find that here. And if that is the case, hit that like button, subscribe button, and that notification bell. All right. So, in terms of announcements, I'm super excited because on Friday, I officially launched Cosmic Collective, which is our private online community. Shout out to all of the luminaries who have already joined. If you haven't already check it out. It is free and it's like a much better Facebook group with a lot of great stuff to come. So if you're looking to sign up to be a part of the Cosmic Collective and be a part of our little community, the link will be in the description box below. All right. And also, my books are open for readings. If you are someone who's fairly new to astrology, I would suggest that you start with the Blueprint, which is my signature natal chart reading. All right. It really breaks down your natal chart into digestible pieces that you can understand so that you can finally start understanding yourself. All right. And perhaps you've had a natal chart reading and you're not quite sure what other reading to get. I do have a quiz with the link in the description box below that you can take to figure out which reading would work best for you. So if you're looking to take advantage of that, that link will be in the description box below. Oh, and one more thing about Cosmic Collective, within the community is my workshop, Your Cosmic Selfie and Intro to Your Natal Chart. So if you've been around for a little bit, I had a free workshop that I was doing every 2 weeks. I've moved that to Cosmic Collective. So if you're still interested in taking this course, it's basically on demand now. So once you join the community, you'll have access to the workshop and you can take it at any time. The link for the community will be in the description box below. All right. So, in terms of announcements and housekeeping, that is pretty much it. So, let's get into this week. All right. And so, of course, we start off with the theme for the week. Okay. And so, as you can see, this week I've entitled the theme Being Uncomfortable Creates Change. And that's very emblematic of this full moon in Cancer. Okay. And I talk about this ad nauseum in my Cancer video, again, my full moon in Cancer video. So if you haven't checked that out, check it out. But, change, we're in a time of change. Let's just say that. Like that's change is the only constant, right? And we are at a point in time where everything is changing simultaneously and so quickly. And so that being the case, it doesn't make change any easier, right? It just kind of puts it right in front of your face. And so, one of the ways that typically change comes about is from being uncomfortable, right? With this full moon in Cancer, or I should say, with this full moon happening in the sign of Cancer, it's getting us in touch with our emotions. And with the other astrology that's going on around this full moon, a lot of the emotions that we're feeling are perhaps sadness, grief, anger, frustration, right? And these are the kind of emotions that can serve as catalysts for change. Okay. Now, with the moon being at home in Cancer, there's a certain element of comfort that comes with that, right? Like when you're at home, arguably you're quite comfortable. Having to go outside may require you to shower, put on fresh clothes, do your makeup, do your hair, all of these things, right? Which sort of takes you out of your comfort zone. And so, one of the important facets of this full moon is that it's taking us out of our comfort zone. And, you know, whenever we are taken out of our comfort zone, it's not in vain, right? Change is a good thing. Now, I understand that, some of us are resistant to change, right? Or some of us take longer to accept change, but change is happening whether you want it to or not, right? And it's like you can either go with the flow, which is also one of the characteristics of this full moon in Cancer, or you can let the universe drag you. But either way, it's kind of happening, right? And so I guess to be able to take advantage of this energy and to sort of get ahead of it rather than letting the universe drag you, it's like, all right, use your emotions, particularly whatever you are feeling at this full moon, as the catalyst for change, as information to let you know perhaps what's not working, or perhaps, to alert you to the fact that maybe it is time to venture outside of your comfort zone, or maybe you've outgrown the situation that you're currently in, which is why you're feeling anger, which is why you're feeling frustration, right? Everything is information. And with this full moon in Cancer, it's very much about our emotions and our basic emotional needs and whether those are being met or not, right? Sometimes we are so used to our needs not being met that becomes the norm. That becomes our comfort zone. And this full moon in Cancer may be alerting you to the fact or illuminating the fact that, listen, you've been accepting less than you deserve, or you've been in this, breadcrumb kind of state when you really should be having the whole cake. And maybe you need to get mad about that. Maybe you need to get frustrated with respect to that fact so that you can finally get what you deserve, get what you really need, right? All of it is information. And so, in the middle of it, right, when we are feeling those emotions, oftentimes it's hard to think clearly. Oftentimes it's hard to take a step back and say, okay, what is this trying to show me? Although that's kind of how we should approach it. In the moment, we're mad, we're frustrated, we're angry, we're sad, right? And we're not necessarily seeing things long term or seeing things from a different perspective. But I urge you, especially over the next couple of days, whatever you're feeling, take a breath, right? Here's the thing, and this is the one thing that I've really come to appreciate on this spiritual journey is that there really is no rush. There really isn't a sense of urgency. And acting from a place of urgency a lot of times will not be in your best interest. And I say this to say that when you're feeling whatever emotions are coming up, try not to act from that place in that moment. Like, take a step back and literally ask yourself, what is the situation trying to show me? Right? I keep having this argument with my partner. I keep having this argument with my spouse. Like, and I'm tired of it, right? Maybe this full moon is showing you that, listen, this person doesn't appreciate you. Or, when you need someone to give you emotional support, this person isn't there. And maybe you've kind of known that in the past, but this full moon is shining like a floodlight on it. And you're like, wow, okay, I'm really understanding that. I feel like I need someone who can support me emotionally in my life. And it doesn't seem like I'm getting that from my partner or my spouse. So now what do I do? Right? This is the pivot that has to be made. This is the change that we're talking about with respect to, this full moon in Cancer and just life generally right now, right? So all of that is to say, use it as information, use your emotions as information. Now, the way that the astrology is set up with this full moon, there will likely be some surprises, some sudden happenings, or something happening out of the blue that will likely elicit an emotional response from you. That surprising event, that's the universe's way of bringing your attention to something. It's like the energy of this full moon is like lighting a fire under your ass. I think that's exactly what I called the video, lighting a fire under your ass, because that's what gets people to move, right? It's very rare that we'll be comfortable or complacent and then just wake up and decide, oh, okay, I want to make a change today. No, usually it's like some shit happens and you're like, okay, I have to change. I'm being forced to go in a different direction. I'm being forced to do something differently, right? That's the essence of this full moon. And that's kind of the essence of the energy that's carrying us through this week. So when you encounter these uncomfortable emotions, or when you feel like you're on the defensive, even because this full moon in Cancer is conjunct Mars retrograde in Cancer. Mars retrograde in Cancer is already having us in our feelings and getting us to really understand anger and frustration, right? You put the full moon on top of that, it's like everybody's crabby, everybody's sensitive, everybody's getting triggered, right? But triggers are ultimately a good thing because they give you information, and this information you can use to make a change. So when you're feeling uncomfortable, ask the universe, okay, which way am I supposed to pivot? What change am I supposed to be making right now? What is the situation teaching me, showing me that perhaps I haven't seen before or that I've been ignoring, right? That's how we affect change. One of the ways that we affect change, but that's kind of the way that we can affect change in our lives right now. So it's like it's like making lemonade out of lemons, right? Life is handing you lemons. What do? You make lemonade, right? So, hello Maminka, how are you? Oh, I'm so glad you were able to make the live. Yeah, life is handing you lemons, so make lemonade. And ask spirit, ask the universe for the recipe, right? That's sort of the energy that we find ourselves in this week. All right, so speaking of the week, let's get into the week and see what it's looking like otherwise. All right, so this is what's going on this week. We begin, like I just mentioned, with that full moon in Cancer. Then we have Sun trine Uranus, Venus square Jupiter, Sun opposite Mars, Sun sextile Neptune, Venus conjunct Saturn, the Sun moving into Aquarius, heralding Aquarius season, Mercury sextile Saturn, and Mercury sextile Venus. All right. And let's see what the moon is doing this week. Obviously, right now, we've got that full moon in Cancer. And then later in the week, the moon will be in the waning gibbous phase, right? It will be decreasing. So it is when we banish things, when we get rid of things. And it will be waning in the signs of Leo, Virgo, and Libra. All right. So let's get into Monday today and see what we got. So we got the full moon in Cancer, obviously, and the Sun trine Uranus. Okay. So let's see what this looks like on the chart. So you will see the sun in the upper right hand corner at 23 degrees of Capricorn. And then we've got the moon at the opposite side of the chart at 23 degrees of Cancer. And then at the upper left hand portion of the chart, you will see Uranus at 23 degrees of Taurus. All right. So I've already talked about the full moon in Cancer. And again, if you want to know more, as we will have this energy available to us over the next couple of days, the link to that video will be in the description box below. Okay. But so the Sun trine Uranus, all right, this is about clarity that likely comes about from unexpected happenings. Now, I already said that this full moon is being influenced by this energy of Uranus because we're going to be experiencing surprises, sudden changes, like the need to kind of pivot very quickly or unexpectedly with respect to something, right? And now you put the Sun trine Uranus, it's like, okay, whatever is surprising, whatever is unexpected, it's giving us clarity. You see everything under the light of the sun, right? The sun not only energizes things, but there's also this certain element of truth that the sun brings, right? You know the saying, what's done in the dark will always come to light. So things will be exposed. So the sun is actually exposing things, right? And with the Sun trine Uranus, with both of these planets in Earth signs, it's exposing things perhaps having to do with work, having to do with material things, right? Your everyday life. This is where this is sort of all going down, okay? And so, while yes, there may be a surprise that has to do with work, that has to do with money, right? And those kind of things can be very jarring because we don't like it when things affect our money, or we don't like it when something with our job makes us feel like our job is not stable or anything like that. But it's information, it's clarifying something. Now, the thing about Uranus is that Uranus can very much be tied to our intuition. It's not necessarily based on logic, but it's more so based on intuition. And so, whatever's coming to light, this may be something that you had a hunch about, something that you had an inkling about, something that your intuition kind of maybe talked to you about this already, but maybe you didn't accept it or maybe you ignored it. And now at this full moon in Cancer, plus with the Sun trine Uranus, it's like, okay, I really see this now. My intuition was right. Or, okay, clearly I've been ignoring this thing and now it's come to the point where I have to change or I have to pivot, right? There's clarity here. And I like that because, we don't always love surprises. Even good surprises sometimes can be a little unnerving, right? But to have to make a change quickly and not know why or how can be very unsettling. But the way that the astrology is set up, it's like, okay, there's going to be some clarity here. There's going to be either a definiteness of purpose, or a way is being shown to you, or again, this information that's coming up at this full moon is like, okay, like I've outgrown this situation, or the situation doesn't serve me, or anything like that, right? So when it comes to those things, whatever happens, take it as information and use it to make a change. All right. So that is Monday. Hello, Patricia Jean. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. So now let's move on to Tuesday. So tomorrow we've got Venus square Jupiter, and then we have the waning gibbous moon in Leo. All right. So let's see what this looks like on the chart. All right. So at the upper portion of the chart, you'll see Venus at 11 degrees of Pisces. And then in the middle red circle, you will see Jupiter at 11 degrees of Gemini. All right. And then at the very bottom of the chart, you will see the moon is at, I guess that says 5 or 6 degrees of Leo. Either way, it's in Leo. Okay. Right. So when we talk about Venus square Jupiter, anytime we have a square, it denotes tension and frustration. Okay. And, you know, whenever I hear of a square, right, and I say that it denotes tension or frustration, the phrase that immediately pops into my head is pressure makes diamonds. Right. So we all understand the connotation of that phrase. Now, when you put two planets like Venus and Jupiter together in any aspect, ultimately it can be a very good thing because both of those planets are very positive. So even though this is an aspect that denotes tension and frustration, this tension and frustration can actually be really good. Okay. But the one thing I will say when you put Venus and Jupiter together is that too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. Okay. So you're going to want to watch for overindulgence. You're going to want to watch for exaggeration and things like that. Now, Venus is currently in Pisces, and Venus in Pisces is completely in love. It's like the idyllic romantic love where you merge with your partner and it's so beautiful and it's like a romance novel, that kind of love, right? So that's the energy that Venus is giving right now. And Venus in Pisces is very much about not having any boundaries, love for all. You get what I'm trying to say, right? And so when you put that together with Jupiter that's currently in Gemini, and Jupiter in Gemini is like telling you everything that you want to hear, even if it's not true, exaggerating, promising you the world, right? So under this transit, if something sounds a little too sweet, it may be. It may rot your teeth. That's how sweet it is, right? And so just be mindful of that. Venus in Pisces is one of those Venus transits where it's like you kind of have to be vigilant, right? Because it can open you up to being taken advantage of. If you don't have the proper boundaries, it's like you can really get got, right? Like you have charlatans, wolves in sheep's clothing who kind of want to prey on you because it's like you've got Fort Knox that's like not protected, that's not fortified, right? So too much of a good thing can ultimately be a bad thing. Although this is generally a positive transit, right? So what it can do on the positive side, it can really get you into that higher frequency of love, or maybe even that higher octave or higher consciousness of love, which is great, especially if you're someone who's looking to manifest more love in your life. If you want to embody the feeling of love, like this is a great transit for that. But just be mindful, like, this is the time for you to have standards. It's the time for you to have boundaries. It's the time for you to not believe everything. Every sweet nothing that's whispered in your ear could literally be nothing, right? Like it's the time to really be mindful of that. But otherwise, it can be a pretty positive kind of transit. And then we couple that with the waning gibbous moon in Leo. Now, whenever the moon is in Leo, this is kind of like playtime. Moon in Leo is lighthearted energy, it's heart centered energy. So there could really be a focus on romantic relationships surrounding Tuesday, right? Or the days before and after Tuesday, give or take a couple of days. So romantic relationships, relationships in general, those could really be themes that come up with this particular transit. Now, whenever the moon is waning, like I said before, that's when we get rid of what we no longer need. And so, if something, and in this case, perhaps a relationship of some sort, is not necessarily, in alignment with your ideal relationship, you may want to divest yourself of it. If it's not in alignment with your heart's truest desires, you may want to put it to the side or maybe just get rid of it altogether. Like the moon in Leo, the waning gibbous moon in Leo is like, listen, if my heart ain't in it, then I don't want it. Right. So use that as sort of a litmus test when it comes to romantic situations. Now, if you're already coupled and you've been coupled for a while, I wouldn't necessarily say that this is the kind of day where it would make or break your relationship. But if you're out here dating and if you're sort of looking for love or looking for more commitment, this is one of those transits that could really have you hearing all the things that you want to hear and all of that bullshit, right? But you have to discern whether it's sincere or not. And again, boundaries are going to be your best friend with this. Okay, so that's Tuesday. Let's see what we've got going on for Wednesday. So on Wednesday, we've got the sun opposite Mars. Okay, and so let's see what this looks like on the chart. We've got the sun at, I guess that says 26 degrees of Capricorn. And directly across the chart, we have Mars at 26 degrees of Cancer. Okay, so This is one of those transits that it's not necessarily going to feel too good because Mars is already really uncomfortable in the sign of Cancer. All right. And I've talked about that ad nauseum. I have my Mars retrograde video that I'll also put linked in the description box below because we're in the midst of Mars retrograde until sort of the end of February. So if you haven't checked out that video, check it out as well. But Mars in Cancer is not feeling comfortable at all. This is where we're getting very familiar with anger, frustration, all the things, right? And it's like the sun in Capricorn just wants us to get like structured. The sun in Capricorn has us very much focused on stability in our lives. And you're going to want to take a look at where Capricorn is in your chart. This will let you know perhaps where currently you're feeling like, okay, I want to have more stability. I want to have more longevity, or I want to just plant seeds that will bear fruit over time, right? Like that's the vibe of Capricorn. And that requires a certain amount of effort and energy, right? Especially like it's the beginning of the year. This is when everyone sort of wants to get everyone wants to get their ducks in a row, right? Maybe you're starting to take your finances more seriously, or maybe you're taking your weight and your health more seriously, or maybe relationships, whatever it is, right? That's where your consciousness is right now. That's where the focus is because that's where the sun is. And then you've got Mars that's like throwing a temper tantrum. It's like a seesaw, right? Whenever we have an opposition, it's like a seesaw, and you've got two planets who are sort of vying for your attention. It's like a tug of war. So, on the one hand, you're focused on getting stable and creating something lasting in your life, right? You're just trying to get your shit together. And then you, on the other hand, but your emotions are getting in the way and nothing's working out, and things are taking a long time, and you're angry and you're frustrated and all of that stuff, right? So, this is how this particular transit is going to work itself out. And so there's also this element of Capricorn has a lot to do with work, it has a lot to do with career. And Cancer, which is where Mars currently is, has a lot to do with our home life. It has to do with our private life. And so it's like both of these things are vying for your attention. Perhaps you're trying to get a promotion. Perhaps you're trying to maybe even like get a certification so you can move up the ranks in your company, or learn more things so you can, be better at your business, right? But there are things at home, emotions related to home, that's also vying for your attention. And so anytime we have an opposition in astrology, it's all about finding a happy medium, right? And sometimes a happy medium still doesn't feel happy, but it's kind of a compromise, if you will. Right. And that is probably the best way to navigate this energy. Don't take your eyes off the prize, right? Whatever you're trying to get organized and structured, like still put forth energy, but also understand that there are going to be disruptions. And these disruptions will likely be emotional disruptions. And so when that happens, honor how you feel. Now, I'm the type of person, if I am going through anything, right, I used to give myself 3 days. And in those 3 days, I could feel however I was feeling about what was going on. So whether I was crying, whether I was staying in bed, whether I was angry, it's 3 days. And after 3 days, I've exhausted the emotions. It's time to get back to work. Now, this was something that I adopted well over a decade ago. Now I give myself like an hour. I give myself an hour to feel whatever I'm feeling and then sort of get back on it. Now, sometimes things take longer, right? Sometimes you have things that may need more processing, things that you really need to work through, and that's fine. Like this time limit doesn't have to be a hard and fast rule, but give yourself the time to feel how you're feeling and then get back to business as usual. And that's kind of a great way, I think, to navigate this kind of energy. All right. So that is Wednesday. So now let's look at what's going on Thursday. Thursday is kind of a light day. We just have the waning gibbous moon in Virgo. Let's see what this looks like on the chart. Okay. All right, you'll see at the bottom portion of the chart in the red circle, you'll see the moon is in the sign of Virgo. All right, so when the moon is waning in the sign of Virgo, the only word that you need to think of is cleanup, or should I say declutter? This could be a physical decluttering, right? Because Virgo is an earth sign. Earth signs are, they concern practical matters. So it could be literally cleaning up your space, cleaning up your home, getting rid of clutter, right? Virgo is also ruled by Mercury, and this could be mental clutter. And Lord knows that a lot of times we've got a lot of mental clutter and chatter that we just don't need, right? Old narratives, old stories, fears, anxieties. Virgo is a sign of perfection, it's a sign of details, it's a sign of worrying. Virgos are the worriers of the zodiac. And so this could be a time to be like, listen, I don't even have the time to worry about this. I'm not even going to worry about this because I've got other things to focus my mind on. So we're decluttering mentally, we're decluttering physically, we're divesting ourselves of what we no longer need. Okay. Virgo loves order and efficiency. Virgo's also the sign of making order out of chaos. So, the saying, like, a chaotic space is indicative of a chaotic mind. And so maybe some cleanup is in order, especially at this time, right? When everyone's really trying to do something new now that we're in a new calendar year. So get rid of what's not serving you. If you're not using it, maybe it's time to put it away someplace or get rid of it. Like, cleanup and decluttering is the name of the game when the moon is waning in Virgo. All right. So that's Thursday. Let's move on to Friday. On Friday, we've got the Sun sextile Neptune. All right, let's see what this looks like on the charts. So we've got the Sun on the right-hand portion of the chart at 27 degrees of Capricorn. And then at the very top of the chart, you'll see that light blue little fork thing. That is Neptune. And Neptune is at 27 degrees of Pisces. Okay, so this is one of those transits that presents opportunities to solidify your dreams. Let's say that. Okay. So this is about taking this nebulous kind of dream and distilling it into this practical thing that you can achieve, essentially. And the universe is going to give you opportunities to do that. Whenever we talk about sextiles, and sextiles are when two planets are 60 degrees apart. It also means that those two planets are two signs apart in the natal chart, right? Capricorn is two signs away from Pisces, hence why the Sun and Neptune are sextile to each other. And so when we have sextiles, it's the universe's way of giving us opportunities that we can use for our benefit. So let's say that you have this goal of learning a particular skill so that you can get a promotion at your job, or so that maybe you are more attractive to other companies, right? Something to bolster your resume. But you kind of have no idea where to take this course, how to take this course. It's like, or how to get this skill set, I should say. Under this particular transit, it's like an opportunity will be given to you to either take this course, someone gives you information about like an online course or maybe even a workshop or something like that. It's like the universe is giving you I want to say like an alley-oop, right? In basketball. Like the universe is giving you alley-oop so you can make that basket. That's exactly what this particular transit is like. So keep your eyes open for what comes up. Now, you're going to want to look at where Capricorn and Pisces are in your chart. This will let you know kind of the flavor of the opportunity that will present itself. But at its most general and basic level, this is an opportunity to make your dream a reality. So it's no longer just a pipe dream. It's no longer just a thought, something that's high in the sky. You're given information or maybe even resources to take a practical step in order to facilitate that dream. All right. So again, keep your eyes open and keep your eyes peeled, right? And your ears open for information, for advice, for maybe something you see on the internet, for resources even that could really help you out. It's definitely a great transit of opportunity. All right. So that's what we got going on Friday. Now let's move on to Saturday. So on Saturday, we've got Venus conjunct Saturn, and both of those planets are in the sign of Pisces. And then we have the waning gibbous moon in Libra. All right. So let's see what this looks like on the chart. So at the right hand portion of the chart, you will see both Venus and Saturn are at 16 degrees of Pisces. And directly across the chart, you'll see the moon is at 0 degrees of Libra. All right. So me personally, I love Venus and Saturn aspects, whether Venus and Saturn are conjunct, trine, sextile. Essentially, Venus, when you put Venus and Saturn together, it gives longevity and structure to Venus like things, which is love, relationships, money, even. Now, I said before, Venus is in Pisces, okay? And Venus is what is known as exalted in Pisces, meaning that her energy is super potent because she is treated like a queen. So, this bodes well for relationships. It bodes well for finances. It bodes well for equality. It bodes well for beauty, right? And so, when you put Venus and Saturn together, it's like, let's say that you've got Pisces as your first house. So, that means that you're a Pisces rising, right? Venus and Saturn are both in your first house. So this could have a very positive effect on your appearance. So maybe you find a new hair, not find, maybe you get a new haircut, or maybe you change up your aesthetic. This could now become like your signature look because Saturn will give it longevity. It'll give it staying power, right? You'll find something that works for you that you could carry on into the future. Let's say that Pisces is your second house. Okay. So that would make you an Aquarius rising. This has to do with money, right? So this is long term investments. This could be a nice chunk of change that you could put into some sort of investment vehicle or savings vehicle or whatever, right? Or Venus conjunct Saturn, I should say, gives staying power, longevity, and commitment to relationships and money. So use it for that purpose. So look at where Pisces is in your natal chart, okay, and see what can I commit to, or what can I invest in, or what can I adopt for a long period of time, for the long run. Doing it now and doing it under this transit will give it that staying power and that longevity to carry it into the future. All right. So I absolutely love Venus and Saturn aspects for that very reason. And this is what we've got going on Saturday. And then the ruler, well, I should say, yes, Venus is the ruler of Libra, and then the moon will be in Libra on that same day. Whenever the moon is in Libra, it's about being social, or it's about appreciating beauty, or it could be issues related to fairness, right? With the moon waning in the sign of Libra, it lets you know what relationships you kind of need to let go of. Things, especially when we're talking about relationships that are not equitable, that are not fair. Bringing that to the forefront when the moon is waning in Libra is always a good look. It's great to have a conversation with your partner or with your counterpart and saying, listen, you're not pulling your weight, or this thing ain't working out for me. It's really low key when the moon is waning in Libra. It's really a great time to break up with somebody. It's a great time to divest yourself of any relationships you don't need. It's also a good time to review your finances, right? Because Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus has a lot to do with money. Maybe this is a great time to, and this is going to be such a textbook astrology example, right? But this is a great time to like look at your balance sheet or check your bank statements and make sure that money going in matches money going out, right? It's a great look. It's a great time for that, right? So use it for that purpose. Okay. That's Saturday. And now finally we get to Sunday. And Sunday is when the sun moves into Aquarius, heralding Aquarius season. So we're changing seasons this week. You know, and Aquarius has a very different energy signature than Capricorn. I'll get to that in a second. And then we've got Mercury sextile both Saturn and Venus. Now, I talked about Venus conjunct Saturn just now. And then we're going to add Mercury to the mix, which is going to be very beneficial, if I say so myself. All right, let's see what this looks like on the chart. So the very top of the chart, you will see Venus and Saturn again at 16 degrees of Pisces. Okay. And then you've got Mercury on the right hand portion of the chart, which is at 16 degrees of Capricorn. All right. All right. And then you have the sun also in that red circle at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Now, the one thing I will say, first of all, when we're talking about the sun in Aquarius, is that the sun in Aquarius is going to conjunct Pluto. This is big because Pluto is death and rebirth. Okay. And so when the sun goes into Aquarius, and keep in mind, Pluto is going to be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. So for the next 20 years, every time we hit Aquarius season, it's going to be a season of endings and or beginnings. Okay. So I want you to keep that in mind. So take a look at where Aquarius is in your chart. Every January into February for the next 20 months, something's going to change. For the better, for the worse, whatever. Mostly for the better. It may not feel like it at the time, but definitely for the better. That's because every time the sun will now go into Aquarius, it will conjunct Pluto. Okay. And so this is going to be a moment of clarity. Remember, I said the sun illuminates, right? And it has this concept of truth to it. And so it brings our attention, our consciousness, and our focus to transformation in our lives. All right. So take a look at where Aquarius is in your chart. This is where it's all going down right now. And when the sun is in Aquarius, this is where our focus is. So let's say you're like me, I'm a Taurus rising. Aquarius is my 10th house of career and public life. And so this is where the focus is going to be this is where the focus is every Aquarius season. But now with Pluto in the mix, this is the area of life for me where things are going to undergo a change. Maybe something is going to end. Maybe something's going to begin. And because I have my own business, I know what that is. I'm not going to tell you. Y'all are going to see it. But yes, endings and new beginnings. Okay. And so again, look at where Aquarius is in your chart. This is where it's all going down. Then we've got Mercury sextile to both Venus and Saturn, right? Because Venus and Saturn are conjunct in Pisces. So now I said that that Venus conjunct Saturn gives staying power to Venusian kind of things. Okay. When you throw Mercury in the mix now, you have opportunities to think new thoughts. These could be verbal opportunities, written opportunities, correspondence opportunities, learning opportunities that would give staying power to Venusian-like things. So to use an example, like I said before, I think I used this example before, about wanting to learn new skills in order to get promoted at your job or be more attractive to other employers, right? This is about literally learning those skills, whether online, whether you are learning from someone, whether someone's giving you advice, whether someone is teaching you, whether you have this like brilliant new idea when it comes to that. Like Mercury is going to ignite your mind when it comes to these Venusian like things that can have longevity and commitment attached to them. So in the case of like relationships, this would be a great time to have that conversation, right? Have the conversation of let's get married, let's move in together, or let's break up, let's chain this around. It's great for having serious conversations related to Venusian like things. So whether you are trying to get money, whether you're trying to get a loan, whether you are trying to secure money, whatever it is, having those conversations, particularly over the weekend, will be beneficial to you. And these opportunities are going to present themselves, right? It's going to be up to you to take advantage of them. But the opportunities are going to be around. They're going to be present. You kind of just have to reach out and grab it, okay? So keep your eyes and your ears open for information that you may hear, opportunities to make more money, opportunities to learn something, opportunities like in the case of a relationship, like let's say, you and your partner you have different schedules, right? And it's hard for you to like go out on a date or even get some quiet time alone. This may be a weekend where you suddenly find that you guys both have the night off. Or now, or your partner's like randomly, okay, let's go out to lunch. And then during lunch, you can have these conversations. Like I said, the opportunities are going to present themselves. It's going to be up to you to take advantage of them. All right. And that is how we end the week, right? Nothing too crazy. We're still in the midst of this full moon in Cancer energy. So you can feel free to take it slow. Don't beat yourself up if things are moving at a snail's pace right now, or if your emotions are kind of getting in the way of things. That's perfectly fine. You may want to adopt my system of giving yourself either 3 days or 3 hours, right, to feel whatever you're feeling, and then move on and get back to business. But either way, honor your feelings and take it easy. Remember, the moon is in its home sign, so it's comfortable. Okay. There may be some things that try to, jostle you out of your comfort zone. Use it as information, but take it easy. Be easy with yourself, especially as we go into this new week. All right, my loves, thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this new week and beyond. All right. And again, for information on all my products and services, all the links and information that you need about me, my business, and everything that I do, it is either linked in the description box below or tagged to this video. All right, my loves, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week. Same time, same place. All right, my loves, have a great week.